Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Satyam, and in today's demo, we are going to show you how to create a Kubernetes cluster using Kops. So those who don't know what is Kops, Kops is basically the easiest method to get a production grade cluster. Kops will not only help you to create, destroy, or upgrade, even it will help you to maintain the production grade cluster. Even you can create a highly available setup of Kubernetes cluster. Guys, there are different methods of creating Kubernetes cluster. One method is to create Kubernetes cluster using AWS EKS that I have covered in my previous video. If you want to learn how to create Kubernetes cluster using AWS EKS service, you can go and watch that video. I will put the link of the video in the description. In this particular demo, we are going to cover how to create Kubernetes cluster using Kops. Okay, there are certain prerequisites that we need to meet. What are those prerequisites? Okay, so there are three prerequisites to have this cluster up and running. The first prerequisite is to create a IAM user. You can create a IAM user and you can assign administrative policy document to that user. Keep the access key and secret access key with you because that will be used further. Second is that you need to have a EC2 instance up and running. That EC2 instance is going to behave like a jump host, or you can call it jump server. From that particular server, you can go and you can execute all of your Kubernetes command. The third prerequisite that we have for creating Kubernetes cluster using Kops is to have a hosted zone. So you should have a domain, you should have a public hosted zone either, or you can have a private hosted zone. Guys, in this particular practical, I am going to use a public domain that I own that is basically called as connectingclouds.in. This is my personal domain. And I have hosted this particular domain in AWS 53. Okay, AWS root 53. Okay, and this is a public domain. So these are the three prerequisites that you need to have. Now let's get started with the execution. So first we need to go to IAM service. So let's go to the IAM service and create a user. So I have the landing page of IAM service. I will go and I will create a user. You can see I have a couple of users that has been created long back. Now I will create a user. You can give the name of the user as per your choice and preference. There is no fixed value you have to use. So here I can give so Kubernetes admin user, something like that. It's up to you, whatever user you want to create. Now you have to create access key and secret access key of this user. So you have to tick this particular option and then you have to go to the next. Okay. In this particular section, we're gonna attach the managed policy documents given by AWS to my user. For simplicity purpose, I am selecting administrative access. So administrative access is the highest level of privilege that you can give to any user group or roles in AWS. Okay, so right now for my user, I am giving administrative access. Okay, this is how you can create a user and you can give administrative access to the user. So once you go forward, what you can do is you can review whatever you wanted to create and then you can create the user. So once the user creation is done successfully, you will be getting the access key and secret access key, and this access key and secret access key is very important. We will be configuring this access key and secret access key on the jump server that we are going to create next. So what you can do is you can take out this particular detail and you can keep that detail in your documentation wherever you can keep it. Okay, guys, one more thing is that this access key and secret access key consist of the highest level privileges. I mean to say that I have a user who have got admin access and these are the credential of that particular user. So you need to keep your access key and secret access key very safe. Don't put your access key and secret access key in any public repositories like GitHub. Okay, in that case your account can get hacked and or something like that, so you should be responsible for taking care. Post this demo, I am going to delete that user, so I am safe. Okay, second, the prerequisite. So we have just completed with the first prerequisite. Second prerequisite is to create a EC2 instance, and you have to add a security group. You have to create a incoming rule in the security group where you allow all traffic. So let's go on EC2 service. So here I have opened the landing page of EC2 service. Let's go and create an instance. Creating a instance in AWS is pretty simple. You have to select the required operating system. Operating systems images are called as AMI. Select the Amazon Linux 2, and then you're gonna select t2.micro for sake of simplicity. So select t2.micro. You don't need to do any changes over here. Please proceed next. Add storage in this section also. You don't need to do anything. Next, create tag. Okay, so click on tagging, and you can give your virtual machine name like so jump server, jump server, and configure security group. And here you can create any security group, or you can use any existing security group. It's up to you. So select an existing security group. I have multiple security groups here I can select, but let's create a new security group. And the name of the security group is something we call as security group hyphen Kubernetes. Okay, so SG hyphen Kubernetes. Okay, you can write in short Kubernetes KATS. And here I am allowing all traffic from anywhere. Okay, and review and launch. So guys, since you know that AWS EC2 instance does not support username and passwordless authentication, so we need a public key and private key pair to log in. Public key is something that will be stored by AWS, and we will be using private key. So I have the key already created for myself, and I will be using the same key. So this is the key that I have, and I will launch the instance. Okay, so now you can see while creating this particular server, I can see there is a format issue, so the name has to be, the security group name has to be in a different format. Okay, so back to review screen, go here, edit the security group, change the security group name, so AWS have certain conditions for everything. If you don't justify that particular condition, it will throw an error. Okay, review and launch. Now I believe we will not have any errors. So create let system create it. Okay, so now what we can see is that we have this particular system which is in pending state. Okay, let it come online. So once the server is coming online, what we need to do is we need to log into this particular instance. So for logging to any remote Linux instance, you need to have the public key, you require a private key, as well as the default username. So we are going to use putty. Putty is a SSH command line tool, and give the IP address, select the key that you have. Okay, and then I will do certain changes with respect to the font. I will increase the size of the font so that you can take a look to the screen clearly. Okay, and here I will be putting 2 open. So now what happens? With the help of SSH command line tool that is called putty, I connected to the remote Linux server, and a terminal has been opened to me. And here I will be using the default username, that is EC2-user. Just hit enter. What you will observe that AWS is not asking any password, because it is the authentication is being handled with the help of public key and private key. Now as of now, I logged in as a normal user, and I will elevate my privileges to root user by running the command sudo su hyphen. Okay, this is the second prerequisite that we have met. Okay, now let's go to the third prerequisite. Third prerequisite is to have a public domain. You should have a hosted zone. I have already created a hosted zone in AWS Route 53. So just I will show you. This is my Route 53. In Route 53, I have a domain name called connectingclouds.in, which is basically hosted on Route 53 service. And you can see these are the 2 details that AWS will provide you. So I have my hosted zone already created. Okay, so this is a public hosted zone, guys. You can create a private hosted zone. Maybe if you need, I can help you with that, or maybe I can create a separate video for that. Let me know in the comment section. So guys, I have met all the three prerequisites over here. The first prerequisite was to create a IAM user and assign certain policy document to the user, create a EC2 instance and allow all traffic. Second is basically to have a public hosted zone or a private hosted zone. So in my case, I have a public hosted zone already configured. Okay, now the execution part comes into picture. Log into the server that we have created, log into the instance that we have created, that is called as jump host. So guys, if you are getting confused what is jump host is a instance where you log in first and then from there you connect to some other place. Okay, so so first we have to log in and we have to update all the packages of the jump host. Okay, so now let's update. So the command is yum update -y, and with the help of this particular command, what will happen is that the system will try to update all the packages, but in my case the system has already package updated, so nothing to do is there. Okay, now we will go and proceed to the next step. In the next step, we have to install Kops, and I believe you know we are going to create a Kubernetes cluster with the help of Kops. So we have to download the libraries of the Kops from this particular command. So this is the command which is going to download the Kops utility, and you need to basically change the permission, make it executable, and you have to move in USR local bin. So copy this particular command and run on the screen to have the Kops installed on your system. So as of now, before running the command, if I do Kops, what you will see that command not found. So Kops is not available. Once I hit enter, let the system install the Kops. Okay, so now the installation of Kops is pretty simple. You have to simply copy paste this particular command. After the installation is done, what you can do, you can again run the same command, but this time you are going to get a different output. This output tells you that the Kops utility has been successfully installed on this particular system. The next utility that we have to install here is kubectl. So guys, if you have worked with Kubernetes, I know you must be knowing in order to talk to any Kubernetes cluster, what you need to have is you need to have kubectl. So ideally, kubectl is a command line utility that helps you to connect to any Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let's install this as well. Copy the command and go on the system and run the command like this. So what happens? We have Kops ready. We have installed the Kops. We have kubectl installed. Okay, now let's go to the documentation and proceed further. Now we have to configure the credentials of a user that we have created with the help of command AWS configure. So let's go here and open the screen and type AWS configure. So once you will type AWS configure, what will happen? It will ask for the access key. So copy this particular access key, make sure no spaces will get copied and all. So this is the access key, guys. Again, there's a warning. You need to take care of your access key and secret access key very first. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I am configuring the credential of a user. The user got root access. The user got admin access basically. And the default reason is going to be ap-south-1. Okay, so this is the reason where I am going to create my cluster. So ap-south-1, and the default output format is JSON. You have to do it. Okay, so this step has been completed successfully. Now in the next step, what we have to do, we have to decide the name of a S3 bucket. Why do we need S3 bucket? Once the Kops will create a Kubernetes cluster, it will store all the information there. Okay, it will store all the information there. So before creating the bucket, you have to verify whether the bucket is already present or not. So what you can do, you can run a command AWS S3 pipe grep, and you can give the bucket name like this. So if this bucket is present, it will visible. If the bucket is not there, you will get output like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a command line. I'm going to use a command line command. I am going to run the command to create S3 bucket. Okay, so this is the command to create S3 bucket. So The command is basically AWS S3 MB, that is make bucket, and this is how you have to give the bucket name. And guys, bucket name has to be unique. And the reason in which I want to create the bucket is AP-south-1. So hit enter, what will happen? A new bucket will be created. Now you have to export the bucket as the environment variable in the local. Okay, so run this particular command. Now every bucket should have the versioning enabled, so you need to enable the versioning of the bucket. This can be done, you can create these things. You can create a bucket either from command line or from graphical, it's up to you, but it's a good practice to do it command line as well. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am running a command that is going to enable versioning on my bucket. Okay, so here we go, and that is the command. Next thing, in the step number 12, what we are going to do is we are going to store the name of the cluster and the name of the bucket in the environment variables file, so that the system can understand and read it or refer it. So you just copy this particular command and always validate the name of the cluster and name of the cluster and the name of the bucket. Okay, so copy this particular one and simply run here. Okay, so all these commands has been executed successfully. We have to run a command called source bash profile rc. Copy this and run over here. So once you run this particular command, what will happen? This command will let the kernel know about the changes that you have done in your environment variable files. So that this much is the required command. Now you have to generate a passwordless authentication. For generating a passwordless authentication, the command is pretty simple: SSH keygen, and you have to hit enter 3 times. So you have to hit enter 3 times. Okay, and basically hitting enter means there is no password we are giving, blank password we are giving, and this has created a public key and a private key. So this is the path where the private key is stored, and this is the path where public key is stored. Now, the moment of truth came. This is the command that is going to help you to create Kubernetes clusters. So I will explain this particular command, and the command goes like this: Kops create cluster -- cloud equals to AWS. This is optional. You can use it or not. That is fine. Okay. And the node count is 2. So I am going to create 2 worker nodes. The name of the cluster is going to be my prod kubernetes.connectingclouds.in. So guys, in the organization, in companies, the name of the cluster will be exactly like this. Okay. And master zone. So as you know, the Kubernetes cluster consists of master and multiple worker nodes. So the my master node is going to get created in AP-south-1, and I am going to store the bucket. So I'm telling the Kubernetes, I'm telling the Kops to use this particular location to store all the configuration files. So you have to specify the path of your S3 bucket. And in the DNS zone, I have given the name of my public domain name. Okay, and the size of worker node is going to be t2.micro in my case, and the size of the master node is going to have t2.medium. So please use t2.medium for master node. It consists of 4 GB of RAM. Okay, and the master volume is gonna be size 10 GB, and the node volume size is going to be 10 GB, and I have used the networking as Calico. So you have to copy this particular command, and run the command on the system. So let me clear it. Okay, and copy this particular command. So once you will hit the command, the system will validate the command. If there is any syntax error, it will tell you that this is the syntax error, you can correct it. Okay, now the system is reading the command, and this is a dry run. What will happen? The Kops will tell me that these many resources are going to get created. The Kops is analyzing everything, and it will give me a plan. Okay, and we have to confirm yes and no then. So it's taking a while. So just hold on. You can read the command. So the command goes like this: kops create cluster hyphen hyphen cloud hyphen hyphen node count equals to 2 hyphen hyphen name equals to my prod Kubernetes connecting clouds dot in master zone equals to this, and hyphen hyphen s3. It goes like this. So we have to wait for a minute. So now you can see that the command is executing and the system is giving some output. Okay, so we have this particular command executed. Now we are waiting. So system is analyzing. Here it is understanding that cloud provider is going to be AWS. The assigned CIDR is going to be 172.20.32.0/19 and the subnet is going to be AP-South1. Preview changes that will be made. So this is the dry run that we are going to get. So now just analyze the output. So Kops has given a very big output and it will take some time to read it. Okay, so the Kops has given a very big output, and here it is saying, okay, what all tasks will be executed. The Kops will create a auto scaling group. The Kops will create security groups. The Kops will create IAM role. So a lot of things Kops will create. Now at the end of this command, these are a cluster configuration has been created. So based on our input, Kops has created the configuration and it is asking us a final approval to create the cluster. So if you want to create the cluster, then you have to use this particular command which has been given by the Kops by itself. So the command is kops update cluster hyphen hyphen name my prod Kubernetes cluster. So now you hit enter. What will happen? Now the Kops will get final clearance to create the cluster. The Kops will take some time and it will create the cluster. So after executing this particular command, the Kops will take around 5 minutes. Around 5 minutes, it will take around 5 minutes to create the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so hold on, let the output come. So the command that we have executed is kops update cluster hyphen hyphen name and name of the cluster and hyphen hyphen yes and then admin. So now you can see the cluster creation has been started in the background and the changes has been started deploying. So Kops will start creating the things in the background. We will go and we'll verify those things as well. So now what it has telling, the cluster is starting. It should take few minutes. Okay, validate the cluster by running this particular command. So if you want to see the status of the cluster, you can use kops validate cluster. Okay, if you want to see the information of node, you can use kubectl get node hyphen hyphen show labels. If you want to log into any of the master node of the cluster, you can use this particular command. Okay, so let's see the status of the cluster by running this particular command, and it will take some time to get the cluster up and running. So I'm going to hit the command that is called as kops validate cluster. So you have to hit the command, and what you will see that changes are happening in the background. So what is the output of kops validate cluster? The kop validating cluster my prod, this is the name of the cluster. So you can see one is master node, the role is master. The master node is using t2.medium instance type, and it is one master node. And if you see the worker nodes, so we are going to have two worker nodes, okay, of t2.micro type. So as of now, the system is starting. Let's go and take a look what all changes are happening on the AWS side. So first go on EC2 page and refresh here. What you will observe certain things. Okay, you will observe. Okay, I have been timed out. Let me log in again to my AWS account. So I will go and I will show you what all things happened in the background. The Kops will create a lot of resources in the background. What are those resources? So guys, now you can see that we have certain instances that are being created in the background. So we have one master node. So this is master node, this is the worker node. So one worker node is in one region and the another worker node. Okay, so both the worker nodes are in the same region. Okay, ideally it has to be in a different region. So we have this jump server from where we have executed the command. These are the two worker nodes and this is the master node. So one of the changes that you can observe over here, and you can see the volume. Okay, what is the size of the volume for the master node and the worker node? So you have to go to this particular page and you can see the what is the volume sizes. So right now, leaving the first one, this is from a different demo. So ignore these two, and now you can see that etcd, that is a kind of database. It has taken 20 GB of space or volume, 20 GB of etcd, and 10 GB size of the node, and the volume, the virtual volume, the EBS volume, which is attached to the node, is of 10 GB size, 10 GB size, and the master also got 10 GB size, right? Now, coming to route 53, in route 53, you will observe certain changes. So let's go to the route 53 and go to VPC as well. So these are the places where you will see that Kops has created these many resources in the background, you know. So Kops is a very intelligent tool, and it is going to create a lot of things. If you go to auto scaling group, you will see auto scaling has been created for master node and worker nodes as well. Okay, so what all things Kops has created on AWS side? So Kops has created worker nodes, master node. It has created corresponding EBS volumes which are attached to the worker nodes. Okay, then you can see the auto scaling groups. So these are the auto scaling groups that you can see. So one of the auto scaling group is with master, and this is the auto scaling group for the worker nodes. Okay, and if you go here in the VPC section, you will observe that Kops has created a separate VPC, and it has deployed your cluster in a separate VPC, guys. Okay, so this is the VPC, and it must have created subnets for deploying your server. So this is the subnet that is this has been created. So this is the subnet. Okay, now go to route 53 and you will observe, let's refresh route 53. Now you will see that this is the API address of your Kubernetes cluster. So this is the Kube API server address. Okay, and this is the internal Kube API server address, and there is some controller and all. So now it's a pretty good time. Let's go and take a look to the cluster by running the same command, Kops validate cluster. So when you will run the Kops validate cluster, you will see still the system is coming up. You know, you can see that one of the node master has been ready. So two worker nodes are getting ready. They will join the master. In a while, you will see that the cluster will be up and ready. So you have to wait for 2 more minutes to see the status. It's very important to read the complete output and understand the complete output. As of now, the validation is failed and the cluster is not yet healthy because the worker node is not in the place. I know, so the cluster is not healthy. So we have to wait. What you can do, you can rerun this particular command, and this command will help you to show the results. Okay, still the cluster is not healthy. So guys, there are different ways to create Kubernetes cluster. The first method, actually I covered one of the method is like AWS EKS. I will give the link. You can go and take a look how you can create Kubernetes cluster using AWS EKS. The second method that I'm showing here is using Kops. There is one more method using Kubectl. So the next video is going to be on Kubectl, how to bootstrap a Kubernetes clusters from scratch using Kubectl. I will show you that. Even I will create Kubernetes cluster on Azure EKS, so Azure AKS. Okay, and in upcoming in around 10-15 days or something like that, I will be creating the Azure Kubernetes cluster using Terraform, AWS cluster using Terraform. So I will upload all those videos over here. I have worked on all the different Kubernetes clusters. Okay, in my workplace. I worked on Azure AKS, even I worked on AWS, Amazon EKS. Okay, so all these things I have been worked on. So if you like the content, if you feel that is doing value addition to your skill sets, please subscribe. Kops validate cluster. Okay, still the cluster is not ready. There is some issue or something like that. Now you can see the core DNS pod is in pending state. Okay, so we're going to wait for a minute. So you can see the output here. Both the machines have not joined the cluster. Okay, so guys, whenever you do the practical, make sure you take the size a little bit bigger. So what is happening? For we are choosing the small size for to avoid any extra cost. But nowadays, I know these 1 GB of servers are not that much capable of creating the cluster. Let's give a try. And we'll see what is the output. So we have to wait for a minute. What we can do is I can pause the recording and we'll resume once the cluster is fully up and running. Okay, so we have to wait. There is no else choice. Okay, so the cluster is not yet ready. What we have seen that we have when we have executed the command called Kops validate cluster. What is the status of the node that we are seeing? We are seeing that master is ready, but both the worker node this and this are not ready as of now. So their status is false. Now you can see the message as well, the validation errors. It says key node, worker node first and worker node second is not ready yet. Okay, because there are certain pods are not yet ready. Okay, so we have to wait for more time over here. Now you must be knowing the kube system namespace. So kube system namespace consists of all the critical component of the control plane. So you can see that these are the pods which are getting ready. So once this pod is fully up and ready, what will happen is the cluster will identify the worker node and the cluster will be fully up and running. So you can see, right, these pods are coming up here and here. So we have to wait for some more time. Okay, let's see the status of the pod. Right now you can see more and more pods are coming into picture. Let's see the status of the cluster while running the Kops validate cluster. Okay, so now you can see that we are getting more progress. We can see the progress now. Both the worker node is ready. Both the worker node is ready. However, still certain validation. What this validation error means, once the cluster is created, the Kops will validate all the critical components are up and running. So right now you can see that some of the critical components are not running. There are 4 to 5 major critical components that runs on master node, like core DNS, okay, a Kube API server, Kube scheduler, controllers, and etc. These are the some of the core component that runs on control plane. So Kops will validate those things. If they are fully up and running, then the validation will get clear. But if you want to see the nodes, how many nodes we have, so kubectl get node is the command, and this command will show you the nodes. So right now at this moment I can see that I have one master node and two worker nodes, right? And the current version of Kubernetes that I am using is the latest one, that is 1.24.3. So guys, this is the latest Kubernetes version that we have, and the by default we have kubectl get namespaces. So you can see these are the default namespaces. What we will be doing is we will be creating a namespace called create create namespace. Okay, we will create a namespace prod. Okay, and we'll deploy some pod in this namespace. So let's go and do kubectl run nginx and hyphen image equals to nginx. Okay, and hyphen namespace equals to prod. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy a pod, called nginx, and the pod will use a container nginx. Okay, and it will be getting deployed in the prod namespace. So hit the command and we'll see kubectl get pod in the prod namespace, and you will see that the container is creating. Okay, the pod will be going to run on the worker nodes. So ideally should not take that much time, still it is taking time. Okay, so like this we have created a pod. Even we can create a deployment, so we can create a deployment and and lot of other things. So let's validate the status of the cluster again. Kops validate cluster. Okay, I hope now till far. Yes, so right now you can see that we have a clean output. What it's saying, validating cluster my prod connecting clouds.in, and we have one master node with t2.medium and two worker nodes with t2.micro. Okay, and the status of the cluster is up and ready. So guys, this is how you can create Kubernetes cluster in AWS using Kops. Okay, so for more interesting videos, for more videos on Kubernetes, okay, I have good roughly around 5 years of solid experience in Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and all the DevOps aspects. Okay, feel free to reach me in case of any doubt. If you'd like to know anything, so I have just started this series. Okay, so I will be putting more and more components. Okay, we can come on the lot of different topics. We can cover certain advanced topic, Helm, Knative, we can cover Istio, we can cover Valero. So those topics we are going to cover. So thank you for this particular video. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe. Thank you. And yes, so once you are done with this, I will show you how to demolish the cluster as well, because you can't keep this up and running because charges are associated with this. So you will be getting a command. If you want to delete the cluster, you have to use a command. So the command is also available in the document. So you can use the command like kops delete cluster, name of the cluster, and then -yes. So I will show you the complete decommissioning of the cluster as well. Issue the command. What will happen? The cluster will get decommissioned. Whatever resources Kops has created, it will delete everything. Once this is deleted, delete the IAM user as well to keep your account safe and sound, because we are responsible for keeping our account safe. Okay, so now the users are the resources which Kops has created is getting deleted. What I will do is I will go to IAM and I will make sure that I should be deleting the user, because the access key and secret access key has been shown in the video. Okay, so you have to always implement the best practice. Okay, go here and go to the IAM user, delete this user so that there should not be any wrong use of this particular credential. Okay, so go to this is the user that I have created. Okay, and what I can do is I can go and I can delete. So now I'm fully safe, okay, and secure. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Thank you.